Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this episode of Sonar Fishing, we're going to talk about flipping, pitching, and punching, and what rods you want to use for each of those different techniques, because they are different techniques. A lot of people want to lump flipping, pitching, and punching into the same technique category, but honestly, they couldn't be more different as far as the density of cover you're going to be, presenting your bait in, and the type of baits that you're going to be using. Those vary greatly, because pitching to a dock post with a finesse jig is way different and requires way different tackle than punching a 2-ounce weight through a heavy grass mat. So let's get started. So the first technique I want to talk about is what I consider kind of light pitching. So light to medium type cover, smaller baits. A good example of a smaller bait that I like to pitch to like dock posts or just random stick ups and things like that would be like a finesse jig. Like the Power Finesse jig from Z-Man is a really good example. Smaller jig in general. And I also pitch smaller plastics, and just anytime you're using a smaller bait that's like a 1/2 ounce or less, that's when I'm going to be using more of a pitching technique. And one rod that I really love for light cover or light or medium cover, and just pitching to just isolated things like dock posts, that sort of thing, is a 7.3 heavy action all-purpose series rod from Fitzgerald. This one's really good because not only can I pitch real accurately with it, it's very light and nimble, but I can also use the same rod for skipping underneath docks, so I don't have to pick up a shorter rod if I'm using a flipping stick to be able to skip really well. So this is a good rod to just pick up, cover water with, and be able to fish a lot of different types of cover and make different types of presentations with it. And even though it's a heavy action rod, it actually feels more like it could be in that medium heavy range as far as the medium heavy power. So it doesn't overpower things like finesse jigs, smaller flipping jigs, or smaller baits in general. It feels really natural to be presenting those type of baits, those size baits, with this rod. So this is a really good one for docks, random stick ups, random sticks that are sticking out of the water, stumps, real light brush, like if you have some bushes that are submerged that aren't really they don't have all those, like a lot of branches, they may just have a couple branches coming off of them. This is a really good rod to be using in those situations. And don't get me wrong, you can fish much heavier cover with this rod and it'll do all right, but it feels really good for that light to moderate density cover. All right, so let's move over to what I consider to be more of a flipping type technique. Again, all these different techniques between flipping, pitching, and punching are going to be using the same overall presentation, like you're the same type pitching or flipping motion, but it's more so the type of cover that you're fishing and the baits that you're using. So this one right here is my favorite all-around flipping rod. So if I was to pick one rod out of all these ones that I'm showing you today to do the majority of what I want it to do, from light cover to fairly heavy cover, this one would be the one. This is a 7.6 heavy action all-purpose series rod. And this rod is just, to me, the perfect flipping rod. Okay, it's 7.6 heavy action, and but it's still light enough for you to flip it all day around all different types of cover and just not get wore out. It's very light. It feels extremely nimble, just like the 7.3, and it does have plentiful power. I mean, I fished this rod right here at Lake Okeechobee in 2001, where I finished 6th place, and I boat flipped no less than, I know it was at least, I think I boat flipped 4 6-pounders in that event, somewhere around that. And you know, I'm not advocating for boat flipping big fish, but just kind of illustrating how powerful this rod can be for how light it feels and how good it feels in your hand while you're pitching and flipping. But this rod right here, as far as pitching, flipping goes, is really good for, you know, moderate to fairly heavy emergent grass, so like reeds, you know, Kissimmee grass, you know, some pads, and also, you know, pitching to kind of dense brush. So if you have a lot of bushes that are flooded, that are pretty thick and dense, have a lot of branches, this is a really good rod for that type of situation because it has plenty backbone and plenty leverage to get those fish out. But again, when you're making 1,000 pitches a day or more, it's not going to wear you out. So this is a really killer flipping rod overall, and again, can handle big fish and heavy cover. However, when you start getting into super dense vegetation where you're dealing with, you know, matted out hyacinth or hydrilla, where it's really thick and you need that like ounce to 2 ounce weight to get through that grass, you want something that is a little bit beefier than even the 7.6 heavy action all-purpose. This right here is the first one I start reaching to when I'm truly punching, you know, the thick grass mats. This right here is a 7.8 heavy action. And this is the flipping and pitching. They say flipping and pitching, but this is the Titan HD series from Fitzgerald. It says flipping and pitching, but this is more for punching. This is a very stiff rod. To me, it feels more like an extra heavy rod. But it is very well suited because of the extra length and the just overall crazy backbone on this rod for punching grass. So matted vegetation, this is going to be a very good rod. Another one that I use that is the same series, same kind of idea, but even more leverage and power. This is the 710 heavy Titan HD rod, and this one has a couple extra inches on it. It gives you a lot of leverage. So like if I'm punching, you know, with 2 ounce weights in really dense grass, this is going to be the one that I use. I usually like to use the 7.8 whenever possible, though, just because I feel more comfortable about it. But one of the things that's really important with punching techniques, which is what these are really designed for, is the fact that you want a rod that is not only powerful but also has a good balance to it. Balance is really important because it offsets that fatigue that you're going to be feeling by using a heavier rod. You know, if you use a heavy rod that isn't balanced correctly, it's going to feel really heavy. But this rod right here is not, it doesn't feel as, you know, very heavy at all because it is well balanced. So you've got the perfect amount of weight in the butt to counteract the weight that you have as far as that extra length rod. So that's one of the most important things to look for in a punching rod. No matter what brand you use, make sure it's a rod that feels light in the hand despite being a broomstick of a rod for your punching setup, because believe me, your wrist will thank you by the end of the day after pitching a 2 ounce weight all day long in grass mats. You know, that's bad enough, but having a rod that is real heavy on the front end is really going to wear you down throughout the day. But overall, those are my choices for flipping, pitching, and punching. Again, very similar techniques as far as the actual act of pitching or flipping, but very different as far as the density of cover and the type of tackle that you're going to be using. So make sure that you pick the rods according to the type of cover you're fishing and the type of baits that you're going to be pitching, flipping, and punching. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm going to see you out on the water. Take care.